This is the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council media briefing for week ending June 28, 2012. Chief Secretary Orville London begins by congratulating Finance Secretary Dr. London on his budget presentation for Tobago.
I think it dealt quite adequately with the achievements of the Tobago House of Assembly and the people of Tobago over the past year, and in fact in some cases over the past decade. It treated in a very professional way with the challenges faced by the island and the country, and also gave us an idea of the plans and projections of this assembly as we attempt to take the island forward. And I am convinced that we are on the right path, and despite the very challenging and dynamic times in which we live, I think that we in Tobago can feel comforted by the fact that we do have some sense of direction and some specific goals and some specific objectives and a way forward that I believe will bring success.
Mr. London then commented on the recent parliamentary shuffle.
Nobody makes a change except he or she is uncomfortable with the way things are. One cannot achieve perfection, but the fact that you're going to make a change and you're going to make some drastic changes must be an indication that you're not comfortable with the way things are going. And I think it is quite significant that the Prime Minister would have made significant changes in so many of the portfolios which we consider critical to this country and this island's development, in the field of national security, in the field of finance, to us in Tobago development and culture and tourism. All of those areas significant changes were made. And I want to join with Tobagonians in congratulating the member for Tobago West on his elevation to cabinet status, and to urge him to learn from the experiences, I wouldn't call it the mistakes, the experiences of his predecessor, and to, take a position that is less confrontational in relationship to the Tobago House of Assembly. I hope that he is convinced, or has convinced himself, that there is a need for the minister in the Ministry of Tobago Development and the Ministry of Tobago Development, I should say, and the Tobago House of Assembly to find a way where they can conduct Tobago's business in an atmosphere that is not as confrontational as it might have been over the past 2 years. I also want to wish the former Minister of Tobago Development the very best in a new portfolio in the Ministry of the People and the Social Development. And I want to suggest that both Tobago representatives have an early test of their loyalty and their commitment to the people of Tobago. There is an issue at present having to do with the board of the local public health authority. And I just want to remind the people of Tobago of the circumstances where we had a situation where the Secretary of Health and Social Services had in fact nominated 5 Tobagonians to the board, the local public health authority board, as secretaries had been doing in the Tobago House of Assembly for the last 30 years. And for the first time in those 30 years, those nominees were rejected and replaced by nominees coming from the minister. Obviously, this is not a state of affairs which the Tobago House of Assembly could have accepted, and we have a stalemate. The bottom line is that because of that stalemate, none of the applications for senior citizens grant or public health assistance, whatever, none of these grants has been approved for many months, and this has brought serious disadvantages, serious challenges to the most disadvantaged people in the community. And I'm hoping that between the Minister of Tobago Development and the Minister in the Ministry of the People, that they can find a way to persuade the Minister that we should have a situation where the views of the Tobago House of Assembly and the views of the people of Tobago are in fact respected, and that we could have a speedy resolution to this impasse so that all of those persons who are waiting on the formalization of the applications and the approvals could in fact be relieved of this burden. I welcome the somebody with Tobago roots, the new Minister of Culture, Dr. Douglas. I must caution him, however, because I saw a report, I hope it is not, he was not accurately reported, where he seems to be willing to take up the former minister's mantra about second carnival for Tobago. And I wish to caution him that this is not going to be the best way to start his stint at the ministry, especially if it's to develop a meaningful relationship with us in Tobago. I think we have an opportunity to place that particular issue on the back burner for a very long time. And I'd be very disappointed if the minister determines that that is the way that he should in fact be going. The Minister of Finance, the new minister, we have had a very long and productive relationship with the First Citizens Bank. Mr. Hawaii, who has been a very, very successful, highly respected banker, and has also had a very good relationship with us in the Tobago House of Assembly. I think that you would be aware that to a certain extent, the Tobago House of Assembly and First Citizens have grown side by side, hand in hand for the longest while. And First Citizens has been the bank of the Tobago House of Assembly for, in fact, maybe almost since its inception. And Mr. Hawaii, during his stint as the chief executive of the First Citizens Bank, has always demonstrated an empathy for Tobago and for the development of the island and, of course, the welfare of the Tobago House of Assembly. And we see no reason why that approach will not change, why that approach will change. However, he too has an early test, because I think you're aware that we do have an ongoing issue with the Ministry of Finance in relationship to the outstanding $100 million owed to the Tobago House of Assembly for the Scarborough Hospital operationalizing of that institution. The fact that that $100 million has not been given to the Tobago House of Assembly has led to some very serious issues. In fact, there are scores of nurses in Tobago, Tobagonians who have been trained and who are in Tobago, some for more than 6 months, and who cannot be employed because of the fact that the TRHE does not have the necessary funding. And even some of the units at the hospital which could have been opened, these units have not been opened because of that. And I'm really hoping that one of the first issues with which the minister would treat is that, because it is not something on which any decision has to be made, on which any policy has to be changed. It is simply a matter of following the law. The appropriation bill for fiscal 2012 would have allocated the monies to Tobago for the operationalizing of the hospital. The hospital has been opened, work has started, people are there. The TRHE is complaining. I saw Senator Wheeler, who is a doctor at the hospital, also complaining about the effects of the lack of funding, and I'm hoping that Mr. Hawaii, being a very decent and professional human being that he is, would do the decent and professional thing and ensure that this money is made available to us. And finally, in tourism, I must say that we have had an excellent relationship with the former minister, Minister Griffith, but we have had one positive sign from the present minister. He has already asked for a courtesy call, and he's supposed to meet with me on, I think it is on Friday, once we can arrange a mutually convenient time. And I think this is a positive sign, because it says that he is prepared to start work immediately, that he understands the importance of Tobago in the whole tourism thrust, and therefore I get the feeling that he wants to get to work very early on continuing to bridge the gap between, or to cement, I should say, the relationship between the Tobago House of Assembly and the central government in relationship to this very critical sector. We have had occasion to work with Minister Cadiz when he was Minister of Trade. We have had some issues, but there are some areas where we've had some success. And I look forward to working with him. Hopefully the Secretary of Tourism can be at that meeting, and we can hopefully continue the struggle as we attempt to get the Tobago sector out of the slump that it had been in for some time.
The Chief Secretary then turned to the issue of the review of the THA Act.
Now, as you're aware, last Sunday, the so-called committee set up by the Prime Minister came to Tobago and held a meeting at Ravenel's. And I think what happened at that meeting is indicative of the position that has been taken by the central government and what Tobagonians feel about that position. My information, and that information is verified because, is that there were a grand total of 55 people at the meeting, and that will have included the people whom we sent to count the people. And that was the sum total of the conference. And we actually had a situation where the people of Tobago have signaled very clearly that this is not a process in which they are interested. Because you compare one meeting lasting a couple hours with 55 people with another meeting, another process, that involved 4 years of consultations, involving 41 communities, 3 large consultations involving hundreds of people, discussions that would have been led by persons who are not impartial, non-political in every way, and persons to whom Tobagonians could have related, as against a committee whose membership would have included at least 2 individuals whose credentials are very strongly, have been very strongly criticized, and whose credentials must be viewed with suspicion, especially in relationship to their relationship with the Attorney General, and also, of course, in one case, their stated antipathy to the Tobago House of Assembly. I want to indicate that while we had 55 people at that convention, I am very happy to announce that the process on which we have embarked to have Tobagonians sign the petition, which indicated that the Green Paper should be rejected and that the Tobago House of Assemblies or the Tobago bills should form the basis of a Green Paper to be placed into the public domain for discussion, debate, and final resolution. And, you know, I made the point that we have thousands of signatures, and somebody doubted. I have here some of the signatures, and you will see that they do in fact run into the thousands, and the process is not yet completed. So the question that I've got to ask of the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, the members of the committee, are they in all conscience going to look at a process involving less than 100 people for 3 hours and to place that and to give that priority over a process involving thousands of Tobagonians lasting 4 years? And are they going to place the views of less than 100 people against the views of these thousands of Tobagonians who have signaled by signing this document, which says, withdraw the green paper now, accept the bills which represent our views, Tobago's voice must be heard. And as I said, anybody can come to check to see whether they're authentic or not. And we have made it very clear to every Tobagonian in every area to which we have gone that under no circumstances should anybody who has signed already sign again. And nobody has been cursed into signing this document. And I just want to advise you that I have written to the chairman of the Law Reform Commission, indicating to him what the position is, so that he will have, before the June 30th deadline, he will have the views of the Tobago House of Assembly. And I read the Green Paper on Internal Self-Government for Tobago, request for comments. I'm responding to the request for comments. With reference to the above caption service, I refer to my previous correspondence to your office dated September the 13th, 2011. In that correspondence, I indicated to you that, and I quote, the Tobago House of Assembly does not support the decision to introduce the draft Green Paper entitled Towards Internal Self-Government for Tobago into the public domain. I further indicated that any decision to place the documents into the public domain, and I quote, will only frustrate the present process for the review of the Constitution and the Tobago House of Assembly Act, initiated in the Tobago House of Assembly more than 3 years ago. Unfortunately, my request has been ignored at all levels, and we have now embarked on a series of activities which has totally derailed the highly transparent and democratic process which had been instituted in Tobago for the resolution of this issue. I wish to advise that the people of Tobago are incensed at the blatant disregard of their recommendations contained in the 2 bills submitted to the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. They view this decision to disregard those 2 bills while attempting to foist on them the Green Paper entitled Towards Internal Self-Government for Tobago as insulting and counterproductive. I'm aware that the Law Reform Commission is obligated to follow the instructions of the Attorney General and the central government. However, I must place on record that thousands of Tobagonians have already signed a petition, and I place in brackets copies of signatures available for your perusal, urging the central government to desist from the present course of action and to facilitate a process that will ensure that their views and recommendations will be placed in the public domain for discussion, debate, and final resolution. I'm therefore, on behalf of the Tobago House of Assembly and the people of Tobago, which the Assembly represents, urging you to advise the Attorney General of the sentiments on the island at this time and the negative impact of Tobago's quest for internal self-government if the bills which represent Tobago continue to be ignored by the central government. And that is the letter which has been sent, and I hope that you know, the chairman of the Law Reform Commission would respond and pass on my information.
Shifting to sport, the lawn tennis fraternity was commended for their hosting of the Davis Cup.
This was the first time in maybe a decade that the Davis Cup tournament was hosted in this country. In fact, I don't think that at this point in time there's any venue in the country at which a tournament of this stature could in fact be hosted. In addition to that, it was not just a matter that we were able to provide the facilities, but there was also the level of management capacity that would allow the Davis Cup organizers to place this tournament in Tobago, confident that the Tobago arm, along of course with their partners at the national level, would have been able to handle this very high-profile tournament. And the fact that they were able to do so without any significant hitches is an indication that we have come of age and that we are developing not only the island, but the people on the island are developing at more or less the same rate. I was able to get comments, from the various players and the various officials. And all of the comments were positive. In fact, there was one comment that indicated that the quality of the facility at Shore Park compares favorable to the quality of the facility at which any of these Davis Cup tournaments would have been hosted for very, very many years. And I was very intrigued when I was informed that one of the persons who came to fix, to do some repairs on the surface shortly before the tournament, indicated he's from an Eastern European country, and indicated that his entire country, and it's a large country, they do not have a facility, a government facility of the quality that we have in Tobago. And in fact, they indicated that to have a facility like that with 8 separate changing rooms and the rebung surface and so on, and all the amenities, that we are in a position where we can do a number of other tournaments. And in fact, I understand that there are already discussions for some future tournaments and so on to be staged in Tobago. So I want us as Tobagonians to recognize that when we make investments, because I remember when we made this investment, I think it would have been in the vicinity of $11 million. There were some people who indicated that it was, excessive. But we recognize that what we are doing is positioning Tobago to be in a position where it can, in fact, have a new type of, if you want to call it tourism, a new type of initiative to make the island more attractive. And this, of course, is linked to, I think some of you all would have just come from a press conference where Tobago will be hosting the West Indies Under-17 tournament. This is a 6-team tournament. It's going to run for an entire month. It's going to be played at 4 separate venues throughout Tobago. And the fact that we could actually have an international tournament hosted only in Tobago at 4 separate venues, again, is an indication of how our infrastructure has improved. Because I remember the time not too long ago when Tobago only had 1 venue at Shore Park where you could even consider having any type of, even first-class fixtures, much less international fixtures. And again, those organizers have to be encouraged and have to be congratulated.
The Chief Secretary was also in high praises for the recent opening of the financial complex.
I want to refer to the comment made by Mr. Huron Lewis, who I think more persuasively than anybody else would have indicated one of the issues, and that is that what was provided, or what has been provided to the people of Tobago, is not what was in fact costed at $20-odd million some time ago. And therefore, we have got to understand the process that would have led to the building that we had opened a week or so ago, and to be in a position where we got to deal with the facts. As Mr. Lewis said, you had a 1-story building as against a 4 or 5-story building. Totally different concept, totally different design, totally different process. And I think at the end of the day, we in Tobago would have got value for money, and I hope that we're able to utilize it. And just 3 very quick things. The Culinary Festival, highly successful. Mr. Williams has indicated that he was very heartened that despite the weather, the number of visitors from Trinidad that came up for the event, again, it's part of our domestic tourism thrust, and it is very heartening to know that it has and is attracting more and more and more and more people coming up from Trinidad. The announcement by the Secretary of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Market and Environment that the play parks, we are putting down new play parks, and we're also improving the existing play parks throughout the island. And that process has started. They're doing 9 plea parks in the first instance, and I think work has started on 2 of them, and work on the others should start within the next 2 weeks. And after that first phase is finished, we should be doing another 10 play parks. And the whole objective is that by the end of the next 2 years or so, every community in Tobago should have a play park where parents can go with their younger children and have, some family outings and so on.
Mr. London was then questioned by the media.
The question of the Tobago Public Assistance Board, how long has this been? We don't have a board, and could you give me an idea of some of the negative effects that we have been experiencing?
All right. I don't know the exact time, but I know it's more than 4 months. It could be as long as 6 months, I'm certain. But if you know the function of the board really is the body that approves applications for assistance. So if somebody let's somebody has reached the age of 65 and they wish to apply for a senior citizens grant, they have to apply to the board, or they apply to the division, and the board will have to sit on it and either approve or not approve or whatever. And it is only, in other words, nobody can get senior citizens grant or start getting senior citizens grant until the board approves. If you want public health assistance, the same thing happens. So that the people who have been seriously disadvantaged are those people who are not yet in the system. So also, anybody who has reached 65, in the past 4 to 6 months, and who should have been assessed by the board and either approved or not approved, those people are disadvantaged, whether they're senior citizens or persons wanting assistance, because they will not get it until the board approves it. So once the board is not sitting, that nothing is going to happen.
You said that the second Tobago Carnival issue is put on the back burner. Is it that you're saying that that whole issue with the reconfiguration of Mr. Peters to another ministry, are you saying that that issue is dead?
No. If you listen to it, I'm saying that we have an opportunity to place it on the back burner. And if I were the new minister, which I'm not, of course, I would have focused on other things. In other words, it will not be in the best interest of anybody if one of the first issues that you take up is a contentious issue like that. If I were in his position, I would come to Tobago and say, look, let me start over.
Thanks for viewing the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for week ending June 28, 2012. For the Department of Information, I am Sophie Guillaume.